This is James Mathers at Cine Gear Expo 2019 for the Digital Cinema Society. I'm here with AJ Gerth. He's from a company called OWC, a leader in storage products. And tell us a little bit about OWC and what's new.
So OWC's been around for 30 years, primarily supporting the Mac, but we've also expanded very heavily into the video production space and supporting the creative arts. We recently acquired another company called Akideo, which had some similar technologies, Thunderbolt external storage and external graphics. This year, we're most excited about our second generation Thunderblade, which just won some awards at NAB, won the IBAM award for best storage. It really gives the best possible connectivity and throughput options for external storage using the Thunderbolt interface. Maxes the throughput out, and because we use a software-based RAID technology, we can RAID multiple units together to get even increased performance, which is something you just can't do with hardware.
It's all about protecting our valuable assets, and tell us why that's especially important in the media industry.
It is, and a lot of what we've done is we've listened to feedback, and we all know the process. The cameras shoot it, goes onto a piece of media, whether it be Red Mag or an SD card of some sort, and it goes to a DIT who's got to ingest it, and then from there it goes into all these various different storage mediums. And the bottleneck has always been, okay, I've got it off the card, and now I've got to get it into 3 or 4 or 5 different locations. So by really designing products for that specific thing was the Thunderblade to say the read speed is where it's important. So we got the content on there. Now I can write that to other drives by having a really high read speed. It can write to multiple drives, 3, 4 other drives, and not have any performance impact. So now I've got multiple incidences of that content, whereas when it comes off the camera, I just got one, and anything could happen. But now I've got 3 or 4 copies of it. You can rest assured that you didn't lose that shot that cost thousands or even hundreds of thousands of dollars to produce those few minutes.
Well, that's short-term storage, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And what about the long-term, and how does OWC help when you maybe move into new technology that doesn't have these connectors? We don't all have Thunderbolt 3 now.
No.
I still have FireWire 400 on some of my older drives.
Oh, yeah.
How can you help with that?
We have not left the legacy behind. And when I say legacy, USB, FireWire, eSATA, we still sell products that maybe have a Thunderbolt connector or USB-C connector and still be able to be accessed through one of those legacy interfaces. We still offer FireWire drives as well as eSATA connectors. Like we just came out with a USB-C hard drive that still has an eSATA connector. So whichever technology you have available to you, because you may have one computer that has that newer connectivity, but now you want to bring it over to this box and it doesn't have it, but you have an eSATA card in there and now you can hook that drive up.
And the bridge, you build connector boxes as well?
Yeah, so beyond data storage, we also do a lot with connectivity. So we have a full line of docking stations that allow you to connect, whether it be USB or Thunderbolt, and give you those legacy ports back that often with a newer computer you're losing. So obviously USB, and then that could be adapted to other things. We have SD card readers on our docks. So again, notebooks tend not to have those anymore. The 10 gig or gigabit Ethernet, display connectivity, audio connectivity, digital audio connectivity. So some people have said, like, well, your docks are really big. And I go, yeah, but we put every port we can on there because we don't know what port you might need. So we try to give you every option possible.
And it changes,
and what you need
future-proofs
today,
it.
you may not.
Yeah.
You're going to need something different tomorrow.
Yeah, so you talk about the speeds. Now that's with flash memory, right? What about drives and what about RAID? Tell us about your RAID systems. I know soft RAID is something that a lot of people marvel at.
Yeah, so we've taken a different approach to RAID than a lot of other companies out there. With the exception of our 2-drive units, where we still use a hardware RAID controller, because that's basically just a big drive for most people. On all of our 4-bay and up units, we rely on something called soft RAID. It's software RAID. It's the same kind of RAID technology that you'd find in a large data center that has tens of thousands of drives being RAIDed together. Big, mega, multi-acre data centers. And the benefit of that is you're literally not a slave to any piece of hardware because the intelligence for that RAID lives on your computer. So it gives you full control and flexibility so that the same hardware you use on Project A configured this way, you can take to Project B and you're not going, oh, yeah, I actually needed 2 4-bay boxes for this new project, and I got an 8-bay box. Well, if I need an 8-bay box, that's 2 4-bay boxes configured together. Or I can now split those and send them to different locations, and I've not had to rebuy hardware. I've just reconfigured it for a new project. So it gives you a lot more flexibility. And the other beauty is performance is always going to be greater than with hardware RAID. We can also do things that you can't do. When hardware RAID, you're fixed to that hardware. So if you have a hardware failure that isn't the drive failure, now you want to move those drives, you have to find the exact identical box. I don't know if that box is 4 years old. You may not be able to find it anymore. So getting your data back off can be a challenge. Not with ours, it's software. So you still have that software. You just plug in a new box, plug those drives in a new box, and you're back up and running. Plus we have our own proprietary predictive drive failure. So we rely on data from the drive itself, but then we also rely on data that is sourced from these data centers as well as other users, and we can take all that data, put it through our algorithm, and I'm really impressed by how well it does it, tell you if that drive is likely to fail. I was surprised, even in a 1-bay, like I put it on my own iMac at home, and it told me my hard drive was going to fail, and it did.
But it gave you a little warning.
It gave me several months of warning. I was actually curious on like how long, like, okay, it says it's going to fail, and it's like, is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be next week? And it was about 3 months in advance, so I had plenty of time to have a backup plan for when it did fail.
That's great. Well, thank you so much, AJ.
Thank you.
Appreciate you
I
sharing
appreciate
with
it.
us.